Hey guys, welcome back to Dexter Ranch. In today's video, we're going to be going through a total cost breakdown of what it costs to set up a 20-acre homestead just like this from scratch.
I'm going to take us out and show the land that I purchased first off, and I'll show you some images of what it looked like when I purchased it and what I paid for it. And then I'll bring you back up and we'll go over what it costs to put my pole barn up, and then we'll go over the steps of bringing the mobile home onto the property and what each one of those steps cost, and then what I paid for the mobile home. And then the last thing we'll do is we'll take a tour through the house quickly, because I think when I tell you what I paid for the house, you're gonna think that maybe it's not that good a condition inside or something. So I want to take you through and show you what you can get for the amount of money that I paid for this. And if you're thinking, yeah, that's great, but I don't really want to live in a mobile home. I get that. I really do, and I have similar feelings. And not because I care what anybody thinks about, the stigma of a trailer or whatever. It's more so because when you're doing something like this, you're dumping your hard-earned money into improving a property like this. You want it to be as valuable as it can be when you're done with it. And a mobile home kind of works against that goal. But a mobile home can be a very good stepping stone to getting you onto a property like this. And then down the road, when things make more sense financially for you, then you can build that home that you want on that property while you're already living there and be able to take your time doing it. And when that home is built, then you can sell that mobile home and just put that money back towards whatever it cost you to build that home. So starting with the property, and like I said, I'll splash images up here randomly of what it looked like the day that I purchased it. But the property is 20 acres. It was a bank repo in a closed bid auction. And I pretty much bought the property sight unseen, meaning all I had seen is some pictures and some satellite imagery of the property, because this is actually about an hour away from where I used to live. And the auction ended the very next day, and there just wasn't any time to get out here and see it in person. So I ended up just placing a bid sight unseen, and the bid that I placed was $31,150. I did call the bank and try to talk as nice as I could to the gal at the front desk to try to figure out or get a feel for where that bid was, even though she's not supposed to tell me, and she didn't tell me, but just through the conversation, I was able to get kind of a feel for where it was. And I now know today that I won the auction by only $150, because I now today know the guy that bid $31,000, because he actually pays a lease to hunt deer on my property now. And it's a bit of a joke between him and I, because obviously he was a little bit upset that he had lost the property over only $150. But the property was completely covered in trees. You could stand at where the house is, and you wouldn't have been able to tell that the barn existed, because it was just covered in trees. Everything was covered in trees. I didn't know that the pond existed until after I bought the property, because it was completely covered in trees. So the property was in pretty bad condition, but nonetheless, I paid $31,150 for the property, and then I paid a man $5,000 to come out and tear down the existing house and cut some trees around the house and the barn, and to flatten out a little area there where I put the mobile home to get it ready for the foundation to be built for the mobile home. So we're up to $36,150. So now on to the pole barn, and I'm going to try to move pretty quickly through this one because, to be honest, it doesn't even have to be in this video because you don't have to have a pole barn to live. But most people that are going to move out into the country are probably going to want something like this on their property. So I decided to include it in the video and include it in the total cost. But the total cost on the pole barn build was $36,929. Now, if you're interested in more details about this build, I have a video with a complete cost breakdown, step by step, what each step cost. So if you're considering building a pole barn, go check that video out. If you're curious about the cost of what it costs to do wainscot, or if you're curious about the cost of concrete on a 30 by 40 building, or to put a cupola up top, or spray foam insulation inside, all that stuff's broke down in that video, and it's very helpful. So our total cost to build the pole barn was $36,929, bringing our total spend to this point up to $73,079. Last but not least, the house / mobile home / trailer. Now I'll tell you what I paid for the house while we do the inside tour, but here are the costs to move and hook everything back up. There was $5,000 for the move and set charge. There was another $5,000 for the concrete footer / foundation. Another $5,000 for the block skirting. And I had to install a new septic system, so that was another $5,000. And then there was $2,500 to hook up the electrical and plumbing. Now, a few notes about those costs. I actually found this house in a different state. So don't be scared if you're looking a little bit outside your area. It's going to cost you quite a bit to move one of these regardless. You can't go looking 5,000 miles away, but this was roughly 3 hours away, and I would imagine it was not too much more than it would have cost if it was only 60 miles away. Another thing is I found this on Craigslist. Now, we all pretty much use Facebook Marketplace exclusively these days, but don't forget that Craigslist exists. And another thing is that I spent quite a bit on that block skirting. Now, you can buy plastic skirting for these types of homes, and it'll be a lot less expensive than what the block skirting was. But since I'm out in the country, I wanted to seal up the bottom as much as I could to try to avoid having mice and critters getting under there. So that was the reason why I decided to go with the block skirting. The total move cost was $22,500, bringing our total spend to this point up to $95,579. Heading inside here, like I said, I just wanted to show you guys what you can get for this kind of money if you take your time and wait for the right deal. Obviously, it's nothing special, not super modern or anything like that, but at the same time, it's not too bad. And a nice view here. I can see what my cows are doing all the time. And it's sheetrock walls throughout. This one doesn't have any of the paneling that you would commonly see in these types of homes. But I was able to buy this house for $30,000. The people were asking $35,000 for it, and I offered them $30,000, and they took it. And they were doing the same thing. They bought it new in 2008 and lived in it until they built what looked like a $500,000 home. But decent sized kitchen there. All those appliances came with the house. fireplace here in the living room. And it's 4 bedrooms, 2 baths. We got 3 bedrooms and a bathroom on this end of the house. And the master bedroom is on the other end of the house. Now, obviously, I've done a little bit of improvement. I painted all the walls, but that was really just out of preference, and it's pretty typical, you know, when you buy a house, or even when you're renting, a lot of times you'll paint all the walls. So, and I added the decks on. It's got a pretty nice deck out back, but I'm not going to include those costs into this video because they're not mandatory things. They're just extras. But with the $30,000 purchase price of the house, that brings us up to $125,579 for everything on the property. And I don't know if you guys have been out looking at properties or not, but for everything that we went over, that's pretty unheard of. I was able to do it because I waited until I found the right deal, and it's taken me a long time just to get it to where it is today. But if I'm able to do it, then I am certain that if you take the time and wait for the right deals to come along, then you'll also be able to do it.
Guys, if you're in a similar situation and you're wanting to build your own homestead, but you're worried that you won't be able to afford it, hopefully this video has given you some confidence and shown you that if you're willing to take the long road, it is possible to do this affordably. If the video was helpful to you, make sure you hit the like button. And if you haven't yet, consider subscribing to Dexter Ranch. We'll see you guys on the next one.